You're listening to Nothing Important. Please enjoy the show.
Are we hanging up?
You guys go first.
Did you guys want to do something else, or
Are we hanging up on it? I'll keep rolling and keep talking.
Yeah, why not? Here, hold on. I'll tell you what. Let me refill my beer. I'll be right back.
Do you want me to?
what part of Chicago do you guys live in?
Dave, I actually live 40 miles outside of the city in a small town. And Wilmington.
Is that like south or what?
It's south. Yeah, it's south, straight south down I-55, basically straight shot south.
Okay.
It's I like to call it the mini metropolis because you get suburbs and then you get Joliet, which is about a couple 100,000 people, and then there's 3 tiny little towns, and then cornfields.
Yeah.
For miles.
As far as the eye can see.
Cornfields and windmills.
Jamie, you're going to have to muscle your way into this conversation because I'm from Chicago and I went to Southern Illinois University. So I drove.
Carbondale or Edwardsville?
I drove down there millions of times. So I don't remember Wilmington, but
Okay, yeah.
Illinois and Chicago.
Nobody remembers Wilmington. Did you go to Carbondale or Edwardsville?
Carbondale.
Carbondale. Okay.
57, right?
Yeah, that's not the one near St. Louis, right? That's the real SIU, right?
Yeah, it's in Carbondale.
Gotcha. Did you ever go to the Cherry Pit? Does that ring a bell?
Actually, no. Halloween was party blast blow up. I don't remember the Cherry Pit.
Oh man, it was just I graduated college in 2004, and in those days, the early 2000s, it was a big deal when they tore down this pink house on campus there called the Cherry Pit because it was supposedly like a campus swingers like sex club party spot for all the undergrads.
Nice.
Wow.
And I also went to a Halloween down there. It was really big.
Well, it was banned for years, right?
It was, and I remember in like 1999 or something like that, I went and visited there for Halloween, and I ended up getting tear gassed because people were out in the streets and the cops tear gassed the crowd.
Dude.
Good times.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Brian lives in the Ukrainian village. That's where we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereabouts are you from?
I used to live on Clark and Belmont, and I used to live off of right in Wrigleyville, a little north of Wrigleyville, off Irving Park.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You're not too far away from my wife's shop. From our, we have a shop down on Diversey.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So awesome. So I guess what we can do is we'll kind of take the reins and just have standard BS, and we'll do like nothing important for a few minutes.
Just talk, yeah.
Yeah, just absolutely. We never come with a plan, really. Like, well, we do sometimes, but what it ends up being is I'm the one with the plan, and nobody else does it. So,
I get conversational ADD when we don't talk about Saul. Even when we do talk about Saul, I get conversational ADD.
Yeah, and you know what our funny thing is how do you guys record your Saul podcast? Because I'll tell you what our process is we get together and we watch it. And then, like, literally, as the show ends, we'll watch the next episode of Better Call Saul. And then we turn on the microphones, and then that's when we record our podcast.
Wow.
So you're together. You're always together in the same room?
There's only been one episode where we recorded remotely. But that's why it's kind of funny, because that was kind of our setup, because I think we even said it once, like, we are not, like, let's do our research kind of podcast. Me and Dave, you know, like I said, me and Dave have been together for years and years and years and years. And so we were like, well, let's do a show where it's like we're the buddies of the viewers hanging out just after the show, right? Because, like, if I watch Better Call Saul and called Dave up, we'd probably have the same conversations that we have
on
air. And so, like, that was our whole deal, was we were like, oh, well, let's just like, we have fun together. Like maybe that'd make a show of some type. So a lot of times we actually catch a lot of flack. And the reason why we miss stuff is just because we're usually bullshitting with each other during the show, taking notes. And we don't really have a lot of time to process it, right? We just kind of go with it.
We're hitting record before the encore starts playing. Usually, yeah.
Dave usually is up till about 3 a.m. Editing. Dave's a professional audio engineer, by the way. And so Dave's usually up to like 3 a.m. editing. And then he'll send me the email, and my phone will chime at about 4 or 5 in the morning. And then I wake up, get out of bed, sneak into my living room, and upload it to the feed so people can listen to it that day.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah, we don't have the cool, like, we don't have like the good schedule that everybody else does.
Yeah, we just use Skype, and I use Call Recorder, and just it actually comes out with some sort of a movie file, because I'm not a professional audio recorder. But I take another program that reduces that movie file into an MP3, I think, and then I just load it. I just play with it on GarageBand, edit it, post it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Dave has a
yeah.
he's a stickler. Like the microphones that we're using right now are microphones he stole from the studio to bring to my house to record this. Like we got like what's this thing called, Dave?
The interface?
Yeah, we have like an interface and
we have an 8-channel preamp interface that I use.
Dave's like
broadcast
a
microphones
for the sound quality and such. So it's kind of funny. We've had people be like, "Hey, could you make like the size of your files a little smaller because they take up too much space?" But Dave,
in all honesty, my approach to the whole thing from the engineering side is that we're probably not going to be the best, but we're going to be the loudest. And we do. I'll check against other podcasts, and I'll turn the volume like way down until I can barely hear them, and then I'll play ours, and it's like rah rah rah, and I'm like, yep, I'm doing my job.
Plus the fact that I'm kind of a loud oaf in my own right.
Yeah.
Well, I was joking around about that song, but it actually does sound really good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Dave and I for years we had a band called White Trashistan. And we used to travel around and play funny songs. We used to dub it Hillbilly Hip Hop.
Yep.
Yeah, we used to have hillbillyhiphop.com, which I'm a little sad I still don't own.
We played almost every college around except for SIU too, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think we ever made it down
we
there.
did. Bloomington, Indiana, we did.
Yeah, I went to Michigan and Indiana and all that fun stuff. So part of our gimmick for Nothing Important was going to be, we would do every month we would do that time of the month, and it would be us singing a song sang by a female. But then we decided to do this Better Call Saul thing, and like it's taken up so much of our time and became so much more infinitely successful than we ever thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna get back on though. I actually am working on the next cover song.
So we were just actually talking off air about Georgia, and Dave made a ludicrous joke, but Jamie, you saw him on the highway?
Yeah, this was like maybe about 2 years ago. I was driving really early. I was going to the airport. I had a trip to take. And it was just like me, and this never happens. It was like me and one other car on this long stretch of highway, 75, 85 going south through the city. And anybody who knows Atlanta knows that there's like this place where the like AT&T building is, and it crosses, the building is actually built over the highway. Mm-hmm. And right there, right before you get into that area, I saw this really super, super nice Mercedes, and I looked inside of it as I passed it, and it was Luda.
Luda!
And I was driving it.
Did whatever happened to that guy?
Well,
is he still around, like Ludacris?
Yeah, I did that. I interned last year at a studio in Chicago, and I got to sit in. Actually, got to be the assistant engineer on a Jennifer Hudson track, and so we're working.
Hudson.
Well, it's funny because we're working this track. I had no idea Ludacris was on the song, and his rap had already been recorded in the session, and the volume was way too loud. So we're tracking Jennifer Hudson singing beautifully, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's just like Luda, and then he just goes on this rap. And I was like, "Oh, the dude's still making music. Cool."
Like, acts a lot now. I was just at the movies the other night with a friend of mine, and Luda was in the movie, like the Avengers movie. No, not the Avengers. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, Luda was an Avenger.
Well, I know.
What a sellout!
I know
he went from being, screw the man, and now all of a sudden he's saving the world.
Well, he does roast Biebers.
Yeah, indeed.
He was on the roast, and they made a crack about him being in that one movie, that like the second Fast and Furious or whatever.
Oh,
No, you know what? He was in. Wasn't he in Crash, which is like this big deal movie, like a
I
really.
think
really-
so.
Yeah, like he's an actor, like legitimate actor.
You
Like,
got to diversify your bonds.
word. Well, it's like Ice Cube. Mr. NWA is like doing family films.
Yeah, I know. Are we there yet?
Yeah.
There's a movie coming out about NWA.
Yes, I've seen the preview, the red band for it.
Yeah. I actually want to see that one. I don't really like. All right, here's my thing, and I think Dave and I talked about this before. It's like, okay, seriously, like most rap nowadays, I get it. You smoke weed and get bitches, and you're probably rich and drive a nice car. But like NWA, a lot of people don't understand that they were actually more of like a political band than they are like we're so badass and we're so tough. They like, I feel like they had like an actual voice.
Yeah,
And
they
of
were
course,
just
this is coming
raising
from
awareness to a situation, not
Right, yeah.
glorifying the situation.
Right, exactly, but then you get all these other punks that like grew up in the suburbs and talk about shooting people over drug deals when they were probably valedictorian of their class.
Yeah, actually, yeah. NWA was they were actually conscious, like type people,
Right.
and their lyrics had meaning. It was a different sort of a thing.
What do you think, Mike? Mike's kind of quiet. What do you
Mike's a
think?
big NWA fan.
No, I was trying to think of the actor that was on The Shield years ago. Who was the
Michael Chiklis?
rapper that was on The Shield? Remember that
Michael
guy?
Chiklis.
Oh, no.
That was ludicrous. I don't know. It's not him. I've been scanning IMDb and I can't find him in there.
I don't know. Ice-T is on Law and Order. I know that.
Yeah.
Tay.
And that wife of his, good God.
Okay, I don't know.
That doctor must be rich. What?
Did you ever hear the story about how Ice-T supposedly got that job on what is it? CSI number 10 or whatever the fuck it is? Like
I think it's Law and Order.
Law and Order number 3? I don't know. There's like 50 of them.
Law and Order Criminal Intent Special Victims Unit of Mass Destruction Search Party.
Revenge? Yes.
Yes.
With a vengeance? Yes. Revenge with a vengeance? Well, anyway, supposedly the story goes that one of the producers of the show was talking to his friend in like a public bathroom. And Ice-T just happened to be there and made like a smart ass comment in their conversation. And the guy was like, "Yes, you're going to be in my show." And that's supposedly how he got into it. And I guess he had like a really big conflict with himself. He's like, "Well, I'm Ice-T, like I'm Mr. like cop killer and all that shit." And like now he's going to go portray a cop on TV. But then he was talking about like how his friends were like, "Yeah, dude, like go fucking do that shit. Go get your fucking money."
Get that paper,
Right.
How do we tell the difference between Ice-T and Ice Cube? I keep getting those guys mixed up.
Well, tea is brewed in a pot. Cubes are
It's
ice.
the one that you put in the tea.
All I know is that together they're delicious.
You guys, I'm going to send you a link right now. And Mike, I don't know if you want to put it in your show notes or if you guys want to put it in your show notes. But there's this clip that this comedian John Mulaney does about Ice-T on CSI. And it is just fantastic. So I'm going to send it.
Oh, Mulaney, yeah, he's hilarious.
I was just gonna say I would
His
love
show
to.
sucks, but he's funny. But actually, why I have you guys both here, I have some. Dave and I mentioned to you guys before we started recording this segment. We're totally new to podcasting, right, Dave? Like,
Oh, you're gonna get on topic now?
yeah,
Okay.
true to form for our show. We never stay on topic, but like we're new to this shit, right?
Barely.
Like we
yeah, we're new.
I mean, there's been people who've been doing it for years. You know?
If we were
Like,
a baby, we wouldn't be able to even like talk yet.
get the fuck out of here. Okay, so anyway, so anyway,
We'd be a 4-month-old baby. Can 4-month-old babies talk?
God damn it. Okay. Don't make me refill this already. All right. So anyway, like, you know, we had no clue what we were doing or even how we were going to do this or even what it, really what podcasting was. But, you know, West Coast Project, you guys actually do, you know, you guys do several shows.
Yeah, over time. I just like doing shows I like, you know. All those shows are shows I'm really into, and I like talking about them. And, you know, I don't have advertising. I don't try to prompt people to give me lots of ratings and all that. I just like doing it, and we put them up and post it. You know, I look forward to doing it. It's really kind of a hobby more than anything, but mostly because I like it.
Yeah, and I just got into it recently. I mean, like Mike and I have only been podcasting since about December or so. You know, Mike's been doing this for years, but I'm really new.
How did you guys end up teaming up?
Well, I was looking for a partner for Better Call Saul, and I put a few notes up in Reddit, and Jamie was one of the people that answered one of those message threads in Reddit.
Okay, what's your?
She actually said, "Dude, you got to pick me. I can recite the whole Leaves of Grass poem. I'll do it for you right now if you need me to." She's so into Walt Whitman and Breaking Bad, and at the time I had just selected another partner, and my other partner and I didn't really work out. So somewhere mid-season we switched, and Jamie's been my partner ever since.
So that's interesting because you're in California, but Jamie, you're in Georgia. Have you two ever met in person?
We actually met like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I was in San Francisco. One of my friends was getting married, and I was up there, and Mike came and picked me up, and we went and listened to another friend of his who's a pretty well-renowned jazz singer.
From Chicago.
From Chicago, actually, Erin McDougal. That's her name, right?
Yeah, Erin McDougal.
Yeah. And we went and listened to her sing jazz at the Savannah Jazz Club in San Francisco.
Nice.
Wow, that's incredibly interesting. So Mike puts you know, essentially an ad on Reddit like, hey, I want to do this Better Call Saul thing. You answer. It's been like a few months now. You guys finally meet for the first time a couple weeks ago in San Francisco, and you know, like I was lucky, you know, I met my wife the old fashioned way, you know, like drunk in a bar, right? like, you know, but a lot of people do online dating and such now. You know, but this is kind of like that same thing. Like you guys talk to each other, but you never met in person. So how was that first meeting? Especially as people that like have this common bond of Better Call Saul and have been talking for weeks. How did the first meeting go? I find that interesting.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty smooth. I mean, we're podcasting. We're not making babies or anything. So, but we did have another step in between because when Jamie and I met and talked about, or we met online and talked about Better Call Saul, and I was doing it with somebody else. I really liked talking to Jamie, and I said, "Hey, let's do something else. Let's do a different podcast." So we started doing The Americans. We do the show The Americans. And then when my other partner dropped out of Better Call Saul, Jamie filled in for her, and we were up and running. And then we met, like Jamie said, a couple weeks ago. So I don't know, Jamie. I thought it was pretty smooth. We never really talked about this. How did you think it went?
Yeah, I was totally scared of Mike because you guys haven't met him or seen him before, but he looks like he could just like murder you with his bare hands. He's like this total badass guy. And so
yeah, I'm not agreeing with this either, by the way. I still don't know if I like this description.
He always says he disagrees with me when I tell him he's a badass, but I don't know. That's just the way I see him. Like he's got this super smooth voice and everything, and he sounds so calm, but seriously, he's like really tough looking dude. So I'd seen his picture. Like whenever I make a contact on my phone, I always, ask somebody to send me a selfie. So he sent me one. So I knew he was formidable looking, but I just, when I met him, I was like, wow, he really does have he's got these really steely looking eyes. Like he could just murder you.
Intimidating podcaster. I guess we probably get that too. We're both like 6 foot 280 with full grown beards.
Right, yeah. So, but that's good though. I mean, you guys obviously have a chemistry. You guys work well with each other. With given the distance between you guys are literally on two different sides of the country. So that's
Coast to
awesome
coast.
that you guys managed to make it work, especially with never meeting each other except for just recently. That I think that's very cool.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite of us because like we went to high school together. We were roommates in college. We do this podcast. We were together for every episode except for the one. And the one remote we did was so weird because it was like, you're not next to me.
Yeah, like
You know?
I can't gauge your
Yeah.
your response. But as
I've never done a podcast with another person sitting in the same room with me.
really,
Out of all those shows, I've never done one like together with somebody across like a desk or in the same room.
So here's a question then. Do you when you do your podcast, do you keep the video off? And you just do the audio?
Yeah, we're using Skype, which isn't the most highly refined way to record audio, and a lot of times internet quality is not that great. So I think the less data you're trying to send through, the better the audio quality is. So yeah, we tend to not have video along with it.
I gotcha. And I think a lot of what Brian and I are able to pull off with our rapport and our banter is the fact that we kind of just we can look at each other and kind of know where the other person's going to go with something a lot of times. There's a lot of visual nonverbal communication between us because like we've been together longer than most married couples.
yeah, we've seen each other with our shirts off. We've seen each
Yes.
other with our shirts off. So here's an interesting question. It kind of died down, but Mike, you mentioned you're on Reddit, and apparently everybody's on Reddit except for like Dave and me
Yeah.
up until like 3 months ago or whatever. But Howard Stern's comment about podcasting, where he says it's for losers, and he likens, he's like, you're never going to be able to be a podcaster, or you're never going to be able to be a broadcaster as a podcaster. And on Reddit, man, there was so much butthurt on Reddit over that comment. There was so many people crying over the statements of Howard Stern. So, as fellow podcasters, what do you think about the statements by Howard Stern?
Well, I mean, timing's everything, right? Howard Stern came on and he was different than anyone else ever before him, and that's kind of how he hit it. He hit it big. He's on the radio. I mean, but what's he really doing any different than this? He's commenting on the news. He's talking about stuff he likes. He surrounds himself with people that he likes, and comedians or whatever, Robin Givens, and talks about shit that he likes. It's kind of, I think, what we're doing, right?
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. It looks like, Jamie, you actually have to go. You got important stuff to do tomorrow?
Yeah, I got a final I got to take tomorrow.
And what class is that in?
That is in grammar and linguistics.
What was that? Sorry.
Grammar and linguistics.
Oh,
You're studying right now.
she ain't got no time for this. She needs to go.
Difficult to hear what you're saying.
She needs to go study grammar and linguistics so she can done pass. Well, awesome. Jamie, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Why don't you go get some sleep so you can wake up, have some overpriced coffee at Starbucks, get your shot of espresso with half a cup of milk and a half a cup of sugar, and get ready and go take your final, and I hope you do awesome on it.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Mike. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, Mike, you're solo, man.
All right, I can handle it.
All right, so my question is, since you're solo, do you want to explain all the comments you made about Jamie before she jumped on? I mean, now that she isn't here.
Come on for that. He's not.
This episode's mid-show music break is Allison Flood with The Ties That Bind. This is coming off her EP Blackbird, which was actually recorded at our home studio of Third City Sound in Joliet, Illinois. For more music and show dates, check out www.AllisonFloodMusic.com.
This is how the deal goes down. This is how they sell you out. Ties that bind your hands to mine dust.
You're listening to Nothing Important.
I can talk Cubs or Bears if you guys want.
Oh man,
Bulls.
yeah. Let's talk Cubs, Dave. Let's talk Cubs.
I don't.
Dave is a huge Cubs fan.
So are you familiar with the whole bathroom situation at Wrigley Field on opening weekend?
Yeah, too long of lines to get in, and they had to move in porta potties or something.
Yes. I'm going to say this because we haven't discussed this yet, so I'm going to throw it on the record right now. I don't give a shit because they said the field wasn't done. Everybody going to the game knew that the field wasn't done, so the field wasn't done. Like, that's my only opinion on it. I go to Wrigley every year. I try to make it at least every year, and I'm just not going until the stadium's done. But I was wondering, like, how, if you'd heard about that way out there, because being out by San Francisco.
I do. I already did. I watch a couple Cubs games on internet, and I've heard them talking about it. Yeah, but I think you're right. You kind of know they're fixing up the stadium, and it looks all under construction. I've seen pictures underneath the stands and stuff. It looks like half of it's under construction. So I know people are probably drinking a lot of beer, so maybe that's got a big part of it. But
that was a lot of the comments was, I stopped drinking after fourth inning because I knew I couldn't use the bathroom.
Like, oh, thanks. Man, it's awesome that you made that fucking sacrifice. I'm glad you stopped paying $8 for a 6-ounce cup of shitty beer.
Brian, it's more like $8.75 for a 16-ounce cup
it's
these
such
days.
fucking crap.
what do you guys think of the Cubs as a team that I noticed they were third in the Las Vegas odds to win the World Series?
I will make that decision once they pull everybody up because I know they're keeping at least Chris Bryant and I think a couple more guys down in the minors until the whole year of service window passes.
Right. Pretty controversial. I have to keep them out past April 15th or something.
Yeah. It's like you have to keep it under 152 games to be considered not a full season or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't have a problem with that because they did that with Starlin Castro, and for one, I got to watch. He hit his major league debut was on my birthday, so watching when he had that 7 RBI 2 homer game or whatever was amazing. But I'm fine with that. That's long term.
Right. It's probably a good business decision, but I think that guy's pretty pissed. He had didn't he have the players union on his side trying to tell them they couldn't do that?
I don't know about that, honestly. I just heard that there was some backlash to it. And I usually listen to a lot of 670 The Score radio station around here. And these last few weeks I've not been able to keep up, which is unfortunate because it's right when baseball's starting. So I just hear a little bit of the rumblings and stuff.
So you guys are Cubs fans and not Sox fans?
I am a Cubs fan. Brian does not like sports basically at all. He likened himself to be more of a Cubs fan, though. But we both prefer to watch games at US Cellular Field. In all honesty.
Really? Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not a Wrigley guy. I'm a big guy, so I like my space.
Yeah.
And I like nice parks. Actually, what's the park out by you? It's not Petco.
Pac-Bell.
Pac-Bell. I hear that park is amazing.
I guess it's AT&T now. But yeah,
that's right.
A couple times.
Yeah, AT&T Park. That's on my bucket list to see. I went to Dodger Stadium and I went to San Diego when I was living out there. And it's just honestly seeing newer stadiums. The more I see, the more I don't really want to go back to Wrigley.
Dude, as Dave said, I got to be honest, I'm a shitty dude. Seriously, I know nothing about cars. I could give a fuck less about strip clubs. And I have very minimal interest in sports, but living in Chicago, you can't get away from it, right? Everywhere you go, by trade, people are always asking me about the Bears and the Cubs and the Sox and the Blackhawks and whoever else we have here in the Bulls. I forgot about them. So I have to keep a passive interest, but it's almost like a chore for me to do that. Just because, I'm totally a nerd, man. You ask me anything about cartoons on Cartoon Network or Nintendo games, and I'm like, yeah, man, Smash Brothers. I could tell you,
yeah,
I could tell you probably everybody's final Smash, but
yeah, and I can tell you how many passes Brandon Marshall and also Jeffrey catch. I don't even know who those two people are.
But about the stadiums, I do once a year just because it's fun to hang out with friends, and most of my friends are interested in sports. Like, I'll go down to the stadiums and go to a game and such. But yeah, like Wrigley Field, like I get everybody's affinity for it because it's been here for fucking like 3,000 years.
It is a classic.
Jesus, I think, hit his
Yeah.
first home run and threw his first no-hitter at Wrigley Field. That's how fucking old it is. But like, it is a shithole. Like, it's so much nicer just to pay $75 and sit on the roof of the building next door and get unlimited beer and hot dogs and still be able to see the game than it is to sit on some shitty high school bleacher inside Wrigley Field and deal with. Because the thing about it too is like, I think it's like that mentality where everybody knows that it's kind of like low key and disheveled. So everybody's going to act like it's low key and disheveled. Like, hey, if you're sitting on fiberglass bleachers and you're pissing in a trough, like, hey, it's no big deal to get fucking plastered on shitty beer and become an absolute nuisance to everybody else that paid to watch the fucking game.
Yeah, it's like visiting a museum. It's like a historical landmark, I think. So people don't really go there for comfort.
Right. I would rather take a tour of it than go watch a game there.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Like,
I'm gonna start saying that a lot now. I just coined a phrase,
dude. That's great, because that's absolutely true. Because like, being in Chicago, I'll just drive around a lot for the hell of it.
Yeah, there's a lot to see.
And I mean, lots of shit to see. And Wrigley Field, I do think it's cool because it's such an old building, and then like every once a month, just for the hell of it, it's not too far from my house. I'll just take like a drive up there and drive around the neighborhood, and I always make the same fucking loop around Wrigley Field, and I always get caught at the same stupid one-way dead end in the backside of it there. But like I always just to see, I don't know, for whatever reason, just what the stadium looks like, like I find that more fascinating. So yeah, I think I'd rather take a tour of it than I'd ever rather go sit in. And you made the comment, we rather go watch a game at US Cellular. And that's absolutely true because they have like the nice seats and they have like a ton of shit in the concourse to do.
Yeah.
Well, Chicago's a really cool city. I always miss it, but in the wintertime, if I ever go there, I'm really glad to get back out of there because it's just so brutal in the winter. Like I remember shoveling snow and putting a chair out to park my car, and chair and brooms to block your spot. Pretty crazy.
When I did an internship at the studio downtown in the Loop, and my first day was one of the coldest days of like in the last 10 years. It was when it was like 18 below. It was the first day of my internship, and they just like hand me a shovel and like go take care of the sidewalk. and I did an internship in LA, and I was just like, I wish I was back at the other internship in LA because I'd rather clean somebody's shit out of a toilet than shovel them sidewalks in Chicago.
So Mike, off the
Sorry, when you guys were talking about drive time Chicago radio, it made me think of like back when after college I lived in Chicago, and like guys like Jonathan Brandmeier and Steve Dahl, and like do you guys you like those guys or what?
Dahl took over for Rokon on WLS, and Rokon moved over to WGN. I'm kind of shitty about that.
Because you don't like Dahl or because you liked Rokon?
I liked Rokon. I just thought he was hilarious. Like I loved his whole like nonchalant attitude towards thing, and of course the Carnarvon wagon every Friday. But Steve Dahl, who took a slot, is pretty good. What's funny is we have this ongoing joke with Nothing Important on our side of it is I have 2 Twitter accounts for each of our podcasts. One is the actual show's Twitter account, and another one is like me as a host, and I try to solicit people to come on.
Okay.
And I always hit up Rokon. I always hit him up on Twitter and ask him to come on. But of course, I get no response. So now it's just become a joke between Dave and I of how many celebrities or famous people can I just tweet and ask to come on the show before one of them actually says, like, yes, I'll do it.
That's really smart. I do that too. Like Jamie and I had the FBI mail robot come on and talk to us from the Americans.
Yeah?
There's a mail robot. It's like a robot. Like it rolls around and delivers the mail, and it has a Twitter account.
That's awesome.
So we connected up to it, and it came on, and he talked to us in the robot voice. It was pretty...
That's awesome. That's a question for you then. You do multiple shows. Like, so you do experience a lot of crossover?
It's tough, man, because I have feeds like like Better Call Saul is a separate feed from West Coast Project. Nobody knows who the hell West Coast Project is. So people come to Better Call Saul or they come to the Americans, right? They don't come to West Coast Project.
But you guys had a pretty successful Breaking Bad.
We didn't do Breaking Bad.
No?
We did a preview to Better Call Saul for Breaking Bad. Everyone that Saul was in, we did a recap. But we did that like all in a row right before. You guys said you started 3 weeks before Better Call Saul. We started in like November.
That's right. Okay, so
it's you guys.
I'll make sure to make amends for that. So actually, then that's right. Sorry, I didn't catch on that. I thought you were. My apologies. I thought you were Breaking Bad, and then you were switching over to Better Call Saul.
But you guys are the OG Better Call Saul podcast.
Yeah. So we're the Better Call Saul podcast.
The better Call Saul. All right, I'm totally gonna throw that out there next time we record our show because that's pretty good.
Yep, we did it early because I wanted to be the first one to get Better Call Saul out there,
and you were by a mile because when I was getting shit from that other guy, and I thought we were the first, I was like, oh man, well this guy, because that's why right there, yeah, Dave's looking at you right now, but that's totally like remember months ago I told Dave I was like, oh man, well there's this Breaking Bad podcast who's doing all the episodes. I'm like, I bet those guys are going to transition to Better Call Saul. But no, you were doing Better Call Saul way before we even thought about it. That's
we did every Breaking Bad that Saul was in. So it started in like 2008 when the one where he's in the desert.
Yeah.
Then he was in almost every one after that. So yeah, it was a lot.
Man, okay. Well then, my apologies, and I'm going to be sure to correct that ship, I guess, so to speak, on our next recording. So I hope. I didn't sound too pompous earlier when I was talking about the Better Call Saul podcast.
Or whatever the fuck they are.
It's okay. You get a letter from our lawyer. We'll straighten it out.
Well, that's okay. I don't own shit, so come see me.
We got Saul Goodman as our lawyer.
Well, that's awesome, guy. Well, Mike, it's getting kind of late, man, and I'm just enjoying bullshitting with you. But yeah, I got beer to drink, and Dave's got to drive home like 50 miles, and I know you got stuff to do, but really, in all honesty, I'd like to keep in touch and set up shows in the future, and maybe we can guest on each other's show, or if you don't want me, I don't give a shit. I'd definitely love to talk to you more.
Yeah,
and,
we do Louis. I have another partner named Michelle. We do Louis. We do Orange is the New Black. So
Louis is so good.
Yeah.
Such a great show.
Yeah, so come on. You guys come on and guest on that sometime if you want.
Okay, so there you go. See, there's one show I do actually watch.
So that's going to do it. Mike, thank you very much for joining us. Jamie, sorry you had to cut out early. We're going to look forward to talking to you guys again. Thank you all for listening. It has been the West Coast Project podcast interview on the Someone Important, Nothing Important hotline. That's my extreme failure.
That's so good.
At trying to do a closing. Okay, so I'm going to end it there. I'll cut it there. So now we're off the record.
Big thanks to Jamie and Mike from West Coast Project for coming on our show. Be sure to check them out at westcoastproject.com. Make sure to hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. You can find all the information for that on www.nothingimportantpodcast.com. Dave, thank you for being sexy as always, and you can stop recording now.